Well, thank you everybody for coming to the Fantasy Collection debut with Mr. T. Malong. That's Thomas Malong. Today we are going to be going over the brand new Pulp Riot Fantasy Collection. My name is Carson. This is Thomas, and today we're going to be playing a fun little game with everyone. So just start thinking and getting your brain working. We want you to name Thomas's look. Okay, so anyone today, we're going to be running a fun little contest. So if you can, at the end of the class, you can either message Pulp Riot Canada or you can write in the chat when he shows you his look. If you can come up with like a fun, creative name for Thomas's look, what we're going to do is we're going to send out a fantasy collection box with the new colors to the person who gets chosen for the name of the winning look. So just a fun little teaser. I will let Thomas introduce himself before I take over and do some little product knowledge, and then we'll let him go. But I'll just let him introduce myself before I share my screen.
Awesome. Hey everyone, my name is Thomas Malong. If you've been to any of my classes before, thanks for coming and welcome back. Bless you for coming again. I am located in Nova Scotia and I'm at my salon, Vivid Hair Studio right now. And I am super excited to show you guys the Fantasy Collection colors. I love them. I feel like a few of these colors are kind of like what I've been waiting for. As far as colors go with Pulp Riot. So I'm very excited that you're here. And I'm going to kind of go through a little bit of information about them, as well as like a quick, fun look, like application method. And I prepared a full mannequin to show you, which I'll show you guys now. She's going to come out of the abyss here.
So cute.
I'll pop her off so you guys can get a better look. But this is my look that I created using the Fantasy Collection colors.
Incredible.
Super pretty. So this is the full head version of the look I created. And today I'm going to show you, I guess, I don't like to say more consumer friendly because like this is consumer friendly in my opinion. But I'm going to show you, I guess, a quicker, more fun, easy version of this full head that could be cool for your blondes, because I am going to keep the base blonde and show you guys kind of like some underlights and like a power money piece in the front with these new colors. So it's kind of like the baby version of this full head. Because to achieve this full head, I basically just did like vertical pie sections all around the head, as you can kind of see here. So it is a super quick, easy application method. And then on the top, I just did like a mohawk section with like some big, like kind of 90s chunks there. But I love the new colors. This green is everything. Like Guardian is so good. And I am obsessed with Sorcery, this indigo color. I feel like it's the blue, purple that I've been dying for and waiting for, and now we finally have it. So I'm super excited to for you guys to try these new colors, and you'll be able to see the application method. You'll be able to see how smooth they go on, and Carson's going to lay down some facts for you and some information for you guys, and as he does, and then we'll get started.
Awesome. And remember, you guys, we're going to choose a winner and send another fantasy box out to the winner of whoever can name Thomas's look. So we don't have a look. Yeah, we don't have a look. We don't have a name for the look today yet. So by the end of the class, just write it in the chat, or you can DM Pulp Riot Canada and let us know what you think the look should be called. And then Thomas will post it on his Instagram, and we will send a fantasy collection box to the winner.
So and if they all suck, I'm getting the box.
Exactly. Okay, so just some protocol. Any questions that you guys have, write it in the chat. I'm going to be looking over the chat while Thomas talks, everything like that. And I'll jump out and ask questions just to keep it easy. But we do, anytime you do, love something that Thomas is doing, let us know. Give some thumbs up, give some kudos in the chat. It's all awesome, especially when we haven't been working for a while. So let's have fun, right? Today is all about fun and reviewing the fantasy collection, these new insanely awesome colors.
You can also like send money to my PayPal, etc. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna share my screen and start us off quite quickly here. Okay.
Sharing that screen.
Yep. Okay.
We are artists. We were born in the digital age. We are not bound by geography. We create the trends that become mainstream. We make our own rules. Then we break them. We are artists. We are behind the chair every day, creating, testing, innovating. We are artists. We are here to disrupt, to educate, to entertain, to inspire. We are artists. We accept everyone as they are. We are the misfits. We are the non-elitists. We are the change in the industry. We are here to stay. We are the artists. We are Pulp Riot.
So just
Woo!
a quick little video to get everyone hyped up, right? I love that video. It's amazing. Some changes, some new and improved Factionate University, House of Demi, and Rainbow Nation. So just if you guys haven't seen, please go to tv@pulpriothair.com because we've added a bunch of brand new education. So if you're on here today, of course, you like education. We were born on education. So please go check it out. Factionate University. We have a new segment on gray hair coverage. We have updated resources, including the Interstellar line, House of Demi, and then we also have the Rainbow Nation. So in Rainbow Nation is what we used to call the 10. Okay, so we have a brand new series 3 of the 10, which you can check out. That is a bunch of brand new education. We also have little shorties and we have updated resources as well. And we have a new series called Blonde Ambition. Tiffany did it. And also, if you've missed any of the IG lives that happened over COVID-19, all of the IG lives are also uploaded to our website now as well. Also, if you guys have missed any of the education that we've done Canadian specifically over Zoom, we now have a brand new YouTube channel called Pulp Riot Canada. So anything that you've missed, you can go, just all you have to do is search Pulp Riot Canada. And we have a bunch of, basically we'll upload all of our education. So if you missed it, you can go back there and watch it at any time. So subscribe and follow our YouTube because it's pretty cool. We're going to start doing more live things on there and everything, but it's a great way to house education. So yeah, updated, a lot of brand new, really cool education. Of course, why digital education? Because you guys get to watch what you want, when you want. We have 10-minute classes online, the best educators. And again, our education is 100% free. Okay.
They're great. Like just to interject, I still go in and watch them all the time, even though I've seen them like multiple times, like literally sometimes if I can't sleep in the morning or at night when I'm laying in bed, instead of just like scrolling Instagram and TikTok for like 2 hours, I'll scroll them for an hour and watch videos for an hour, you know?
It's like, a Netflix of hair. It's a Netflix of hair.
Instead
of watching that new show like the Bridgerton or something, click on
TV,
okay?
Watch me.
Exactly. So we also have 2 classes coming up right now, of course. It's June 14th. We're doing the semis extension, but we also have 2 other classes coming up. Pastel Melts with Kayla Blackheart and with Zunny Sutterman. So that's all in July. So July 12th and July 5th, 2 brand new classes using our semis and all about how to create pastels. So those are going to be insane, awesome looks because we are so good at making pastels.
And they're the pastel queens. So
yeah, and so you guys know, always at Pulp Riot Canada, in the bio, we will always have our next upcoming class. So if you don't know where to find the link, anything like that, I'll put the link in the chat so that you guys can sign up today. But also, if you're ever looking for the link, it's in the bio at Pulp Riot Canada. Okay, and then semi-permanent colors. Here's a look at all of our little categories here. We have our amazing Neon Electrics, our Raven collection, our Neopop, and our OG collection. And now today we're going to be talking about the brand new Fantasy collection with Thomas Malong. Here is a little look at our updated semi chart.
Whoa.
So if you guys are looking, I know, amazing. If you guys are looking for semi-permanent, a new semi-permanent swatch chart, what you want to do is go to tv@pulpriothair.com and go to Rainbow Nation and go all the way down to the bottom under resources. There's a swatch chart button, and you can actually download this and print it yourself. So this is a fully new updated swatch chart ready to go with Guardian, with Sorcery, all of your updated semi-permanent charts. Okay.
Cool.
And then we're just going to go through just a little reminder of the key ingredients of our Pulp Riot semi-permanents. We have conditioner base, smooth viscosity, they fade true to tone, long lasting. Our whole brand is 100% vegan, low acidic pH, they smell amazing, and basically every single one of our color products has quinoa in it, which is a gluten-free seed with mild bonding properties, and actually helps with the encapsulation process of our semi-permanents.
We love quinoa.
And how to use: processing 25 to 40 minutes, no heat. We recommend maximum processing time to give the best colored results for sure. And then also, I'll get Thomas to talk to this, but sectioning half-inch sections and making sure you're painting from down and side to side. Anything to add with application, Thomas?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I will kind of, when I'm applying the color, quickly show you. But some things to remember is to never condition the hair after you lighten before applying these colors. That's super important. When you condition the hair, the conditioner is closing the cuticle down and sealing the cuticle. So you want to keep that cuticle open so it can absorb the colors correctly. And so that's super important. I know some people ask, like, what if the person's already blonde, or what if the person has gray hair and they want some pops of color? So for me, I will always wash their hair and then not condition, because I trust no one. And like, if they condition their hair at home and then they just sit in your chair, maybe their hair is a few days old, it's full of oil, it's full of the conditioner, and you pop these on, they will take, but they won't last as long.
Good call.
So that's
also,
a super important thing.
Another question that, I personally get asked all the time is that, if they don't want to do a full bleach out, what is the best thing to do on previously lightened hair?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, if you don't want to, as far as like technique or like,
just to open up the cuticle, like if they don't want,
so you could also like, you could literally just do like a little bit of like 20 volume developer on the hair, that'll open the cuticle a little tiny bit, like anything like that, like anything that would oxidize, I guess in theory would open the cuticle a bit. So
okay, amazing. Well, I will stop sharing and let Thomas get going. Again, any questions that you have, you can jump right in and
type your questions, and then Carson will recite them to me.
Exactly.
Love that.
We do have one question. Dio Sullivan said 20 volumes straight.
Some
developer. That's a good
just literally just the developer. It's kind of like pre-softening. Like, I mean, I like back in the day of like when people pre-soften for perms and stuff like that, it's the same thing. So just take 20 volume out of the bottle, put it on with a bowl and a brush or whatever method you choose, just like you would as if it was color. And just the peroxide of the 20 volume will just like open the hair strand a little bit, like it just opens the cuticle a little bit. So when you put that color on, it has something to sink into, right? It's like if you are putting the color on top of just this conditioned, silky, beautiful canvas, then I feel like, you're going through all that work you might as well make it last as long as it can. So, and I'll talk about a little bit of aftercare too at the very end, which I talk about all the time because it's
Awesome.
very important.
Well, the floor
Cool.
is yours.
Awesome. So yeah, so I'm showing you guys here. I am doing like an under lights technique on the bottom. So I'm starting with Pyro, which is our new blood red in the middle. And that is going into our Elixir, which is our like kind of like neon-y purple. And that's going into Sorcery, which is our indigo. And that's going into Guardian, which is our true kind of like slime green. So I'm going to be keeping the same pattern on this side, going like a mirrored image. So I'll be doing the purple, the blue, and then the green here. And whenever I'm doing something like this, I think one of the most important things when you're coloring hair, especially when you're doing a few different colors that do have a higher contrast, for me, working neatly and taking neat, clean sections is just as important as any of the prep you do, any of the aftercare you do, or any of that. I think when you are really neat, it shows your client that you care. I know this is off topic, but like I'm on a rant. Like I think when you're neat, it shows your client that you care and that you're putting thought into what you are doing. And, you know, it kind of shows them like, okay, Thomas has a plan. He planned this out. Look how neat this is. Look at the sections. I'm pumped for this hair color. So that's just a personal thing. I mean, there's some of the best colorists in the world are like literally like a hurricane, and that's cool, but it just doesn't work for me. And I just think if you're neat and organized, you'll get through the application quicker. So that's just me. So that's why I pre-sectioned off my 3 little sections with their own individual clip, so that when I take them down, they're just good to go and there's no fumbling around trying to make a clean section. They're already clean and they're already made. So yeah, so the colors in the bowl coming out of the tube are very pretty much the same as all our other semi-permanent colors. They're conditioner based, so they have that nice creamy consistency. They go on so well and so super smooth, which I love. They all are very true to tone, so kind of how they're looking in the bowl is how they're going to look on hair, especially hair this light. You can see on the new swatch chart that has the fantasy collection that Carson showed that you can print out. Also, you know, you could send that to like a printer, I don't know, like Vistaprint or Staples or whatever you guys have where you live, and you could get that thing made as big or as small as you want. So it could almost be like decor in your salon too, right? Get it made poster size and put it in a poster frame. Bring your clients over and be like, it's like the periodic table, but like actually fun. So yeah, always refer to the swatch chart if your client lifts, you know, an 8, a 9, a 7, because there are some of these colors that won't necessarily show up on darker shades. I find with the fantasy collection, the Pyro is really deep, very blood red. Like as you can see here, it's quite dark. It comes out bright, but it is darker. So in my personal opinion, that's going to look good on anything level 7 or lighter. I do find the other shades though, with just from playing around with them on mannequins, and I used them on a client last week, I will say the lighter and the cleaner, the more they're going to show up. The Sorcery and the Guardian they really do need like a clean slate. And the Elixir. So I definitely would make sure like most of those colors aren't for orange hair because they're cool toned. So even the Pyro is a little cool tone. It's kind of a neutral red, but anyway, it's a blood red. So yeah, so I'm just gonna.
Would you make sure to pre-tone with those?
Yeah, honestly, like if you wanted them to be like really show their true colors, other than the Pyro, you're gonna want hair this color, like you just are. I used them on my client last week and it looked great, but there were a few areas that only lifted to about an 8-ish, and it still looked good, but it wasn't like the true clear color through and through. So if you are looking for them to be exactly how they are, I would maybe take a little bit of warmth out of the hair with pre-toning. So whether that's with our Barcelona purple shampoo, or you do a quick like high-speed toner or something. It just will kind of give you a better base to lay these on top of. So I could rant about that forever, but instead I'll show you guys some hair color. So cute. Does anyone have any questions or like comments or concerns? Concerns, imagine someone has a concern. You never know. So this is the Elixir. Don't know if you guys can fully see here, but it's a super pretty, cool toned, kind of neutral purple. It's darker than lilac. It is less pink than jam. Because at first when I opened it, I was like, girl, this is just jam. And then I was like, no, it's definitely less pink than jam. It has a more true to tone, very much that like fantasy kind of purple. Like when you think of fairies or dragons or, you know, like a witch with her magic 8-ball. This is like the emoji of like the ball, you know, the, why can't I think of what that's called? Like the witch's ball.
Not,
Anyway.
I keep thinking about like a cauldron, but are you talking about like a magic 8-ball?
No, like, you know, like a psychic's ball.
Yeah,
A crystal ball.
A crystal
Thank
ball.
you.
Okay, good.
Bless. Okay, cool. Bye. I'm going home. Like, what? Why couldn't I think of that? Yeah, so kind of like that vibe, like a crystal ball, kind of purple. So yeah, so when I applied this, you take 1/2-inch sections. So my section that I have going on here, it is about 3/4 of an inch wide or so. So I just paint the outline on this side, split it in half, paint the middle, pull it over, and then move on. So like if I was doing this and not talking, I would probably be able to apply this whole under section in about 5 minutes. Also, as another tip, when you're working with really contrasting colors, like I was like saying to Carson, I was a little stressed about this mannequin that I did because in some places I put Guardian too close to Pyro, and obviously green and red cancel each other out. So these colors do not run together. But when you are applying with colors so close to each other like this, if I have learned anything from my suffering and mistakes, it is that I try to put them away from each other. So that is why on this mannequin, I have Pyro in the center and my Guardian is way over here as far away as I can get, just to leave that kind of, you know, room for error, if you will. So I wanted to kind of like split them up. Any questions? Nobody has a question. Love it. Cool. So yeah, so I'm just going in here, getting this on. So yeah, I would call these, if you were doing this on a base color, this technique is a super fun way if you have a brunette that wants a pop of color or a blonde that wants a pop of color, to give them that without like the commitment of a full head of color. So how I did this with these vertical sections is exactly how I did the mannequin with the full head. I'm just kind of doing the more played down version of it here for I guess like a quicker, easier look. And if you were gonna let this hair down, one of my favorite things to use is this mesh, which I'll be using for the money piece. You can see through it and it separates the hair and it's washable. So you can kind of just put it on there and it sticks to your color. So I literally use these mesh all the time. It's really cool because you can still see the color. So you'll never forget what section you did before and etc. Cool, so that's super easy. I know like a lot of people know how to do underlights. That might be boring, but I just kind of wanted to show that section to kind of show you guys the consistency, how it was similar to the other semi-permanents if you've used them before, kind of show you what the color just looks like going on the hair quickly.
We do have a question. So for any cooler tone semi, would you always pre-tone?
So if they're as light as these are, I would at least make sure there's as little warmth in the hair as possible. I definitely do not always pre-tone, but if you're doing like lighter blues, lighter greens, lighter pinks, I would pre-tone as much as possible because with the more yellow that's left in the hair. If you're putting pink on top of it, you run the risk of it looking peachy. If you put blue on top of it, you run the risk of it looking green. If you put green on top of it, you run the risk of it getting muddy because you're putting green on top of like an orange or yellow color. This green is bright. It has more depth than say Area 51, but it is still on the lighter side as it is a like lime slime green. Same thing with our sea glass color. I would pre-tone before that. That personally, in my opinion, has to go on really cool hair. But say if you're doing absinthe, which is a really dark emerald green, the hair can have yellow in it because it is so dark. So I would say if you're doing pastels, if you are using these colors as pastels in any way, which I know Zunny on her Instagram page, she did an awesome look. Turning all the fantasy collection into pastels, which was super cool. But if you're doing any kind of pastels, I would say the cooler and the lighter, the better. You just have to think of it as painting a wall. You know, if you have an undertone and you're using a really, really, really light color, that undertone is going to come through. So you don't want to do all of that work and use all of that product to then have to do like a second application. You know, it's quicker to throw a purple shampoo on or tone someone at the sink for 5 minutes. So I would say with this collection, all of the colors except for Pyro, the cooler the better. Yeah. Any other questions before I move on to the money piece? You're welcome. No? Okay, cool. So for this money piece, I am starting with Guardian. So what I did here, I have it all clipped up in 3 sections like I talked about, but you might be able to see, not sure, I took a triangular fringe. So this is a very classic, like if you think of when you were 5 and your mom cut your bangs and, you know, she took that triangle section and whacked it off. So it kind of goes as far wide as the temple and just where the fringe section ends, where you'd start the round of the head. So for me, when I did this, I kind of planned to do the colors I like the most in the order that I'm going to like the most. So this is the same order as I did in the back. So I'm doing the Guardian first, followed by Elixir, which is the purple, followed by Sorcery, which is the indigo, followed by Pyro, which is the red. Once again, I'm keeping my green as far away from the red as possible. So the green's in the front, the red's in the back, just to save that worry. Like I said, they do not run together, but when you're doing color right to the scalp, like I did here, because I just literally am painting this directly on the scalp. When you're doing that, you know, when I come to do this section, even though I am going to separate with mesh, even if that red and green touch each other a little bit before the color encapsulates, you just don't want to have to deal with what that could look like. So it might be okay. But for me, I like to err on the side of caution because when I'm doing clients, we're super, super busy and my clients are booked in for that like exact amount of time. And I don't have time to go in and redo something. So for me, I like to be super creative and I like to have fun. And I love, like, everybody always tells me I'm crazy. And the girls in the salon are like, why do you put yourself through this? You torture yourself. Because I love total opposite ends of the color spectrum, color combinations. It's like a thing that I do. I love doing it. And it's always scary, but you just have to kind of have, like I said before, a little bit of a game plan. So before I started, I knew I wanted this green to be as far away from the red as possible. So if you enter your color applications with a bit of a plan, I think it serves everyone really well. So
just so you know, I think Laura Anderson says, yes, you are a little crazy.
She would. So I popped the Guardian on here. This is the first section of the money piece. I'm taking about 1/2 to 3/4 inch sections here. So I'm doing them in 2 parts. So I did this first just to show you guys. And what's really cool, you can see that this has been sitting. This color has started to encapsulate. So it starts to get hard. So once this happens, that's what makes the colors not bleed together, okay? Which is super, super cool. So I have the Guardian on there and I'm gonna pop a mesh right on top. So she has like a cute visor. It's a look, summer 2021. So I'm gonna take down the next section So I have this section here. It's like half, 3/4 inch in width. So as I go up, because this is a triangle, each section is going to get a little less wide, which I think is going to look really cool when it's done, because it's going to have like a bit of a gradient effect. So another tip, like Carson had mentioned earlier in the application tips when you go. So when I do this, I like to put a little underneath at the root here. Get that in there. Then I like to take that down and paint right to the root, right on the scalp. So like Carson mentioned earlier, this color is conditioner based. So that means that the pigment is added into a conditioner base. When you are applying the color, you want to stroke down. You also want to go in and open that up and kind of do horizontal. So that will really make sure all of the hair strands are covered with color. So now that I did that, when I lift this strand up, there won't be any hollow patches underneath, which there aren't. And that's because I went down and then horizontal. Another thing I love about the mesh is it kind of creates this board for you when you're doing something like this. So instead of getting your hands really messy with color, you can just apply the color and just use the mesh as your hand. So spread it open horizontally, get that color on, then come down, get that color on vertically, okay? So like I said, with doing that, you won't get any hollow spots, and it's a really quick application. I like to use a lot of color to really make sure that it's getting in there. And you want to make sure to also, there's a fine line where you can brush it too much. If the color starts to turn white or get foamy when you are applying it, that means you're that means you're brushing it too much. That's actually the conditioner coming to the surface. So, I mean, it isn't going to ruin your life, but a lot of the times, especially I've noticed on like the Pulp Riot groups and the artist groups, when people will post and they're like, I did this full color and there's like these hollow spots all through it where it's still blonde. Honestly, a lot of the time that is from over brushing the color on and that conditioner coming to the base. So you really want to make sure you don't do that, because once again, who wants to go through all of that work of putting on this color and then have that happen?
And if you overwork the product, because I've heard a lot about this too, like a lot of people rub it in with their fingers and actually separate the dye from the conditioner. Will you get, what will happen if you overwork the product? You won't get the same like encapsulation properties, or you just get.
Yeah, so if you overwork the product, what's going to happen is that if you can think about this whole chunk of hair, you'll see little spots on it that have no color. So that is just conditioner. Then you're going to see spots on it that are and you're like, why are these spots way too dark? That's because that's just pigment, because you are separating the pigment from the conditioner. So you're almost going to kind of get three colors. You're going to get the color it's supposed to be where you didn't brush it too much. You're going to get lighter spots from the conditioner and darker spots from the pigment. And like, I know I'm making that sound like, whoa, this is so complicated, but it's really not. You just have to have the confidence. That's why I go in with a lot of color. Like, I have a lot of color on this root, you know what I mean? So I would rather go in with a larger amount of color and really get it on there and make sure it's fully saturated and that I'm opening it up vertically and horizontally while applying. I'd rather do that than be like brushing it, rubbing it with my fingers, brushing it, because that's also just takes up so much time. I don't know how people do that. Another tip I'll do if I do have a slightly larger section is I'll go down and lay a little bit of color on the mesh like this, just paint it on, then take this hair and put it on top of it. So it is going to get that color underneath, and then paint it on, get in there horizontally. So then you're really just giving yourself a guarantee that you have the proper saturation of color. I saw a little question pop up there, but I didn't get to read it.
Yeah, how many tubes are you going to use for a full head of color, and what do you charge? That's number one.
Yeah, so for a full head, so like for this mannequin, okay, whoops. So this is the full head of color. This is about like, medium length. It's kind of like a uniform layered haircut. So, medium length, I would say regular-ish density. Obviously, it's a little coarse because it's a mannequin. Therefore, it's a little more absorbent because the hair is a little more like questionable. But for this mannequin, I used 1 tube of each color. So I used 4 tubes of color. So, I mean, how people price these is a very personal choice based on your area, based on where you're at as far as skill set goes. Obviously, if you do colors like this all the time, you're going to be more skilled and your skill is going to have value versus if you're just doing them once in a while. I'm not saying it's less valuable because you're just doing them once in a while, but I do think there is a level of knowledge and skill there. So I think you have to look at your processes. So at our salon, we charge a la carte. So if I was doing a full head lightener and a creative color like this, I would charge the full head lightener price. Then I would charge a full creative color price. And I don't really charge based on like how many tubes I use. I would charge based on like creative color short, creative color medium, creative color long, and then the level of application. So like what I'm doing right now, this is a pretty quick application, right? Like I'm really getting through it. So I would have this entire head colored in, I don't know, 30 to 45 minutes. So that's great. That's almost like doing a partial foil and a root app. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be that long. But some of my colors where I'm doing a lot of color blocking or where I'm doing high contrast colors in color blocking and stuff like that, I'm going to charge more for that application because some of my creative color applications on really long hair, some of those applications alone are like an hour and a half, 2 hours just for the application. So I think you have to take into consideration what you charge for your services, how much hair the person has and how long it takes you. But something like this, if you're doing a full head lightener, a full creative color, I mean, you're using probably like $75 in just product, or more. So if you're doing $75 in product and that is a 4-hour appointment and you charge someone $200, you're basically charging them $225 for 4 hours of work, which is only about $60 an hour, So if you look at it, most hairstylists, if they're charging per hour, are not charging only $60 per hour, So kind of think of that when you're basing your prices on how long things take, because how long things take paired with what you charge is how much money you make per hour, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, do you want to be making $50 per hour or do you want to be making $90 per hour, right? So I think it's different for everyone. I live in a really, really, really small town, but we do a lot of creative color here. So we're very fortunate that a lot of our clients value how much work it is and how time consuming it is. Like, when I go home after doing a client like this, my back is out, everything's out, my brain is out, my back is out, and our clients know how much work this is. So I think it's really important to educate your client on how much work this is and, let your client know you came to a class today, you learned something new, you really want to try it. Like, you're taking time out of your life to learn. And I think that people should be charged accordingly because of that.
Awesome. We do have another question. If you do happen to overwork a product, then can you just go in and blend it over? Like, can you add more color?
Yeah. I mean, if you overwork the product, it's not like it's going to be completely screwed. I find if I overwork the product, I will kind of take a towel and really take it all off.
Okay.
As much as I can in that section and kind of just like start over basically in that section. So it like I said, it isn't like the end of the world. If you have 1 or 2 sections where the product is overworked and you have the ability or you have the time to kind of squeeze that section off and start over, I would say do it. But I also would say, you know, don't beat yourself up, and everything is a learning curve, and you know, no one's perfect. So
Amazing. Do we have
Yeah.
any, you know, possible names out there for this look?
yeah, is anyone
Write it in the
thinking?
chat.
Write it in the chat. Let us know. You know,
Amazing.
keep in mind it's the fantasy collection. I'm kind of doing this like, you know, pie section, underlight vibe. So, you know, keep that in mind. So look, this is what I was talking about. See how this is like a triangle section
Yeah.
when I'm on the last section here. So I have my under, and then I'm gonna take this off to show you guys the back here. So now that this stuff is getting hard and is encapsulated, you can literally go in and like rub them all together and nothing is going to happen,
Wow.
which is crazy, right? So it's kind of fun. So yeah, so they're at the point, you know, from the quinoa, from everything that's in the color to help it encapsulate like that, it's at the point where it's doing it. So as far as processing time, our processing time is like 25 to 45 minutes ish. I believe that's still what they're saying. Personally, I love to let it sit for as long as I can. I'm like a minimum 45 minutes. I usually let it sit for an hour to get like the most intensity, especially if you're doing colors, like if you're using the neons, the longer it sits, the more neon it becomes. Like I've let neon sit for 2 hours if I want them to be like screaming neon, and the extra time does help. It just literally, when you do that, the water pretty much just rinses clear. Like the hair just absorbs all the color. It's like, hi, I'm thirsty, give it to me. So I definitely think that is a good tip. If you're doing pastels and you really are worried about them staying, I would definitely let them sit for as long as you humanly can, so that they'll really get as saturated as they can, since the base of pastels is clear. On the different side of the spectrum, maybe you have a blonde client who wants like a fun look for the weekend or for the month. Like right now it's Pride Month. A lot of people want like a little bit of fun hair, just so they can be like, hi, here I am living my life, but I don't want it to be a commitment. So then you can leave them on for less long. You could leave it on for 15 minutes if you want. You know what I mean? It just means it might wash out faster. So depending on your client, that might actually be what you're looking for. You can apply to damp hair also in the same way. You can apply the semis on like towel dried hair, and they won't last as long. So longevity can go both ways. Sometimes you want it to last a really long time, and other times you want it to be gone in 5 washes.
So from the look in the back that you did, the final look, did you take this underlying section and do it all the way up the back?
Yep. So what I did was I did the same vertical sectioning from the crown all the way down.
Okay.
Then on the sides, I did the exact same. You can kind of see here in a way how they're like vertical sections. So I did the same thing, split the hair, vertical sections all the way down. When I do that, I work from the center and pull everything back so that it's really neat and really super clean, and it keeps it out of your client's face, which I think is important. Then as you can see here, I did this like a mohawk section, just like how you would do like a traditional head of foils, I guess, you know what I mean? So
Okay.
I did this as a mohawk section, and I just pulled it forward like I did the money piece on this mannequin, except each one of these is about 1 inch thick because I wanted it to be quite thick. So that takes up the whole head. So as you can see, I went Guardian, Elixir, Sorcery, Pyro, and then started again. So I did about 8 sections on top with the 4 colors. So yeah, it's like, if you map it out and if you are, you know, neat, I applied this in like 40 minutes. You know what I mean? So that's a pretty quick application for something that looks fairly complicated. You know, people would see this and be like, whoa, there's so many colors in there. That must have been so much work. And like, it was so much work. And the reason that I did it quickly is because I took the time to plan it out. So I kind of blueprinted it out in my head first so that the actual application with the client was only about like 45 minutes. But I do think it's super impactful. You could do this with any of the semi collections, you know, the Raven collection, the neons. I mean, everyone knows neons are my favorite. If you tell me I can do anything, you're getting the neons. I don't care. Like, you're getting the neon. So this would work with anything with high contrast colors. You could do this exact same application technique with Faction 8, permanent color, liquid demis. You can do it with anything. It's definitely not just for semis. So maybe you want to use Faction 8 and do it with, you know, a copper, a blonde, a brown, like, you know, you can do whatever you want. So today I chose the fantasy collection because that's what we're talking about, but you can take this technique and you can use it many different ways.
All right.
Yeah.
Amazing. Do we have any other questions out there before we start to wrap up?
And you guys can message me anytime. Also, I'll kind of post both of these looks tomorrow so you can see like this full look up closer, and then you can kind of see its little sibling look up closer here too.
Amazing. And don't forget to DM Pulp Riot Canada or Thomas, or write it in the chat, any little name suggestions that you have for his finished look, the blonde look or the other look over there. And we will send you if Thomas posts it, we'll send you a fantasy collection.
Yeah.
And let's take a look at the artwork.
I want to post it with a cool name. So
yeah,
this is Guardian. It has like this super cool like nymph artwork on it, like a little fairy, a little nymph. All of the artwork is done by a Los Angeles based tattoo artist that Pulp Riot works with for all their packaging, which I super love, super cool. I love that it says the color on the front, and I love that it also has a color here. Personally, for us, for space, we stack them like this. Some people do stack them like this, but every time we open the cupboard, it was like an avalanche. So we now do this. But this has a cool nymph on it. And this is sorcery. It has like a wizard with his spell book. And over here we have a crystal ball. And it's super cool. I love it. And for elixir, we literally have like this kind of spooky hand holding an elixir. That one's pretty straightforward, kind of like a potion. And then for pyro, our blood red, we have like this dragon breathing fire, doing his thing, living his cute life, being angry and hot like me. And yeah, so yeah, I love the artwork. I'm always, as soon as Pulp Riot is releasing something, my big thing is like, what's it going to look like? Because they always bring it with the artwork, in my opinion. And the boxes are super cool. So whoever wins the box, your colors come in this really, really nice box here. So on the front, it's kind of like the nymph with the cooler tones. On the back, we have like the wizard and the book, and then the dragon. And then when you open it up on the inside, you kind of have all four.
Cool.
So it's super cute. They're really fun. A lot of people literally like nail them to the wall in their salon. I have all of mine kind of on top of the color bar. And yeah, they're like really pretty, really fun decor. And I don't know, it's really cool. Like, I think it's really great. I mean, I could talk forever about why I like Pulp Riot and why I got interested in Pulp Riot, but it all comes down to the fact that it was created by hairstylists for hairstylists. And for me, that's super important because I feel like they know what we want and what we need as far as the packaging goes, how it's numbered, how it's labeled, right down to the creativity behind it. So,
well, we have some really cool names: Cosmic Witch, Lunar Days, Fairy Dreams.
ooh.
Yeah, what else? Spellbound. That's a cool name. Space Berry Delight. You guys are getting very, very creative. Amazing. So we'll remember.
I love it.
Yeah, we'll remember.
Send us those options to the Pulp Riot Canada page, and then Carson can send me over a little screenshot list of them to make sure we don't miss any.
Yeah, we won't miss any.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, guys. And like we said, this will be uploaded onto YouTube. So subscribe to our YouTube.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe I'm sure we'll probably do some live classes on YouTube as well, which would be pretty cool. So yeah, amazing. Thank you everyone for coming, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.
Like for part 2.
Like for part 2. Bye.
Bye.